Hello there, Algebra students. This is Mr. Kashi speaking. Today we're going to do a video for our teacher instruction station. Today we're learning about 6.5, which is point slope form. If you get stuck, these notes don't help on the homework or anything like that. You can always reference page 336 in your textbook, and hopefully those pages will help. So point slope form is written right in front of you. I'm going to go through what these different things mean. Really what we have is this form tells you two things. It gives you a point and it gives you a slope. So really there's a point. We call it x1, x1, y1. And x1 is written right there. And y1 is written right there. And then we have our slope, which remember is rise over run. And that gets written right in front of the parentheses right there. So we have y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. And so you're given a point, you're given a slope. And really the most important thing is that this equation starts with subtraction signs here. So really one thing that you have to remember is whenever it's subtraction, it's really a positive number that goes in for y1 and x1. And if it turns to a y plus a number, that means a negative number is for your point. So it's your points are always going to be opposite signs. That's probably the most confusing part of point slope form. And we're going to talk about that as we go through these examples. Feel free to pause this video if you need to continue taking notes, but I'm going to move on to the next slide here. So we're going to graph a line in point slope form. And so first of all, we're going to take our point, which would be their y is 5. Okay. And our x is 2. So we have a point 2, 5. So I'm going to plot that point and go over 2, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to put a point. Okay. And then our slope. Our slope is 1 over 2. That's our slope right there. Okay, and that's rise over run. And so I can go to the point that we started with, and we go up 1 over 2, and I'm going to put a point, up 1 over 2. It should be enough if you want to go do another one, and then you can draw your line through those points. So hopefully you can get that down, and then I want you to take the next minute or so. So please pause the video and do this, graph this equation in point slope form on this same grid over here at the right. Hopefully you've taken that time just to go through it again. So here we would have a positive 2, which means it has to be opposite. So that would be a negative 2 for our x. Then we have a positive 1 for our y. So we have to go negative 2, positive 1, put a point. And then our slope is negative 3. And that's actually a negative 3 over 1. So we'd go, starting at our red point here on the graph at negative 2, 1, we'd go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and over 1, and we'd put a point. We go down 3 over 1, down 3 over 1. And then we'd be able to, now we have at least 3 points. You can draw a much straighter line with your straight edge than I did right there. So once again, feel free to pause the video if you need to complete those notes, but I'm going to move on here. Now we're just going to be writing an equation in point slope form. So they're just going to give us the point, they're going to give us the slope, and we're going to write the equation. So remember we have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Alright, and then what they're doing is they're giving us the point, negative 1, 7, and they're giving us the slope of negative 3. And what I like to do is I like to take that point and just make sure that we know, okay, this is x1 and this is y1. And so now we can just plug things in to our equation. Just replace the variables with the numbers. So here we would have y minus our y1, which to the left over here you can see is 7. And then instead of writing m, we'll write our slope, which is -3, parentheses, x, minus our x1, which is a -1. And this is where the whole opposite comes in, because we can take a look at this right here. We're subtracting a negative, and that's where it can that's where we can reduce it to y minus 7 equals -3, and then that could be an x plus 1 because we're doing the change with that operation. All right. Once again, I'm going to give you the point and the slope, and you can do this one as practice. When you're done with this practice one, if you could raise your hand, I'll come around and take a look and see if you have it right for your equation. Okay. Last thing that we're going to do is I want you to create your own equation in point-slope form, and then I want you to graph it on the graph to the right. And once again, once you're done with this, go ahead and raise your hand, and I will come around to make sure that you are doing it correctly.